finals the last 5 times. Went through a period where he went to 10 finals over 13 years. The NBA was LeBron. He went to the finals 8 straight years. Wherever LeBron went was the center of the NBA. That hasn't been true for a while now. And we've seen some great teams. We've seen Giannis. Since LeBron last won, we've seen Giannis win. We've seen SGA win. We saw that incredible 2022 Warriors team, which was so meaningful for them in so many different ways. We saw the Celtics come back up with the 2 J's. There's a lot positive going on. Having said that, there's a potentially extraordinarily exciting last chapter of LeBron's career. And we're not going to know how that chapter is going to play out. I know that he keeps getting asked about it, and there's this desire for him to have an answer. He's not going to have an answer right now, okay? He may not even have an answer on July 1st, which is when the new league year will turn over, because he's got to make sure he's there mentally and his body, and he's just not going to know. But guys, if LeBron is willing to play next season, and he's willing to take a pay cut, which I suspect he may be open to do that. I have good reason to believe he's willing to do that. The world opens up. If he could go play, maybe he stays in LA and they use that money that comes off of his salary to go get another player. Maybe he goes to another team like Cleveland that could be ready. This is not about LeBron going away with irrelevance. It's potentially about one last amazing moment if he's able to do it.
Can we stop? The man is playing next year. He ain't retiring. The reason why he's not retiring is because he wants to be celebrated. He wants to go on that tour throughout the league and be celebrated. And let me be the first to say, despite what I just said about him and the slam dunk contest, Big Perk, Wendy, it's what he deserves. He deserves to be celebrated. This is one of the top 3 players in the history of basketball who is going to walk away, all right, who is over 40 years of age, who's got 23 years in the league. He is not going to just play through this season and then the season ends and then all of a sudden he shows up and it's over. It's done. No, that's not what he's going to do. He wants to be celebrated and remembered for the greatness that he has put on display for over 20 years. He is the GOAT of longevity. Nobody has been this good for this long in professional sports in history. He is that great. And the bottom line is, by the way, we're talking about the brother like, you know what? There's so much slippage. The brother's still averaging about 22 a game. He can still put up 30 a night whenever he wants to. I mean, he's on the basketball court now because when all else fails, he's still 6'9", 250. He can score inside, he can score outside, he can score in the open court. This is what he can do. And so as a result of that, yeah, the issue is not whether or not he's going to play, it's where he's going to play. It's what I brought up last year. It's what Perk has been singing to everybody who will listen over the past several months. Do you want one last run at the chip? That's the only question about LeBron. Because if you do, you leave the Lakers and you go back to Cleveland. You join D. Mitchell. Before they got James Harden, I was like, if LeBron is with D. Mitchell and Mobley and Allen and those boys in Cleveland, they go into the finals. They probably could win it all. That's what I said. So you know if you had Harden and Mitchell there, and LeBron finds a way to get back to Cleveland with Mobley and Allen in place with those 2 brothers and LeBron, they win it all. They win it all. So do you want to win another chip, or do you want to chill in Tinseltown because of your off-the-court interest and how being a part of Laker Nation and the Laker brand helps facilitate those opportunities for you? Not that you need it that much because you're LeBron James, but the point is, that's the question. Can we stop this nonsense about retiring? He ain't going to retire because he ain't been celebrated enough this season. And that's not what he wants. He wants to be celebrated. That's why he's coming back next year. Let's stop the brakes. Let's just stop it.
Is the NBA ready for life without LeBron? Hell no. Hell no. They're not. They're not. Look, let me say this. Wendy, you brought up a point about going to the NBA Finals and winning championships. That's only a small percentage of what LeBron James has done for the NBA, for us carrying the torch and wearing that cape for over 2 decades of being the face of the league. When you just go and look at his social media following, we're talking about over 200 million plus followers. Name me another athlete that's coming close, or another basketball player, should I say, that's coming close to that. We can't. When you talk about packing out arenas on the road, LeBron James does that in every arena that they pull up in that's not in crypto.com. He's been doing that for the last 2+ decades. When you talk about jersey sales, when you talk about selling shoes, along with delivering on the floor and making sure you don't disappoint the fans and being available, he has done that. When you talk about things outside of basketball and keeping his resume clean and being able to carry the face and being able to be that positive influence in everybody's life to all the kids when it comes down to being a role model, he has checked all the boxes. Do a lot of these guys like a Victor Wembanyama, Anthony Edwards, do they have potential? Absolutely. But let's not sit up here and take for granted at all what this man has been through and what he has done. Hell, we come on television every damn day. And if LeBron James played the night before, damn it, we gonna talk about LeBron James the next day because he's relevant, because people wanna know, people wanna hear. We wanna talk about him because he's the greatest player to ever touch the game, to ever play the game of basketball. So when it comes down to asking this question, Amina, when you asking, hey, is the NBA ready for when LeBron retires? I'm gonna say hell no until I see otherwise.
But Perk, I want to push back on that real quickly. We just talked about Wembanyama. We just talked about Anthony Edwards. I feel like the league is in pretty good hands if LeBron James were to retire and not come back next season, although we all kind of have an inkling that he will come back.
Yeah, but I gotta see it. I gotta see it, Amina. And I'm not saying Wemby don't have the potential. I'm a huge fan of Victor Wembanyama and Anthony Edwards. But we're talking about LeBron. We're talking about an iconic figure. We're talking about a guy that has done something while playing the game of basketball that no other player has done. When it comes down to everything for us checking the boxes. And it's just some big shoes to fill. And I gotta see it. I can't take for granted what I done witnessed from this guy for the last 2 decades.
Well, the point is that there's 2 different categories. To say that somebody is comparable to LeBron James in terms of his global cachet, no. There's nobody in the NBA that's at that level. But on the basketball court, the brother's been home early, quite often over the last few years. First round, I'm missing the playoffs, with the exception of 1 trip to the Western Conference Finals. That's just the reality that we're looking at right now, and the NBA was doing just fine. I think that when you look at a personality like Ant-Man and the game that he has to complement that persona, I definitely think that he's somebody that has the capability to answer the call. I'm talking on the court. I'm not talking off the court. I'm talking on the court. He has that capability, and again, I think that when you look at some of these other players, the Victor Wembanyamas of the world and others, I definitely think that the NBA is ready for life without LeBron James on the basketball court. If you want sizzle in terms of headlines in the offseason and stuff like that, probably not. But on the basketball court, I think the game is fine.
I'm old enough to remember when Jordan retired for the final time and they said the NBA was cooked. They said there's no chance there's ever going to be anybody that could engage the world like Jordan did. And there, no one had ever heard the name Steph Curry. People who had heard the name LeBron James, a lot of them said that he couldn't do it. And so I will just lean again on the wisdom of the late David Stern. When you look at challenges in the game, you appreciate the greatness of the game itself and the incredible talent that plays it. And so while I can't say to you, Amina, who is going to be able to replace him, or this is how it's going to go. I believe, having spent my life around the NBA, that the talent will rise up and the greatness of game will carry the league. It always has, it always will.
Yeah, look, I agree with you, Wendy. I don't think anybody's going to step up and replace LeBron James, but like I said, you have talent like Anthony Edwards, you got